Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. Today is the 30th of May, I think. Something like that. I think it's the 30th. Yeah, it is. And it's 7:56 in the morning here in Israel, and the weather is again 85 high, low 64. Tomorrow 95. Then it drops to 85, then 81, then 82, and then 84, and then it goes back. It's unusual weather for sure. Very, very unusual weather that I can't really tell you what's going on other than it's probably something to preserve the crops as a guess. So, what we're going to cover today is there was an idiotic ceasefire proposal that America was negotiating with Hamas. Recently, in the last few hours, Hamas officially rejected it and said, like at a time of their choosing, they'll go back in with another proposal or something like that. And Netanyahu is preparing to really do a tap dance on the heads of Hamas right now. They're evacuating a major area in the north, big time, and we'll have to see what Egypt does, and let's just watch it. But there is no ceasefire. But I'll go through what was proposed by the United States, and you could see how bad it was. Okay, it was idiotic. So Trump, with his negotiations with Iran, is behaving like an idiot. And with Gaza, the same thing, and with Putin, the same way, in Ukraine, he's just screwed up. I mean, he's not making a lot of sense unless he's officially disguising things. But let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go into the live stream and check the live stream, put a post up, and then we'll get started. Now I've got my moderators in here, thank you. And let's see what the sound's like. Now I've got we've got plenty of sound. Okay. And let me get my post up real quick. And this isn't going to take long. Okay, everything's good. Posts are done, people are coming in. I'm going to do some let me move this over, it's off side here. Okay, there is no God like Jehovah, there is no God like Jehovah, there is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, let's do the prayer requests because I sadly forgot them yesterday. So I am sorry and I apologize, but let's cover them now. Okay, for CM, Charlie Mike CM, Charlie Mike CM. Guidance in leading and direction regarding education. For CM, Charlie Mike, guidance, leading, and direction regarding pursuing education. Next. BH, Bravo Hotel, BH, Bravo Hotel, BH. Healing from a surgery with a good, quick recovery, no pain or bad side effects. So BH, Bravo Hotel, healing from a surgery, good, quick recovery without pain and no bad side effects for BH. Next, a cat named Shiloh, Shiloh, if you want to figure out how to spell it. Shiloh the cat, healing some sort of a wound that's not going away for Shiloh. Okay, the cat. We do pretty good with cats. I'm quite a bit healed up. I think my problem might have been for several days in a row, I was keeping the air conditioning on at night and making it very cold because I was beginning to realize I sleep better when it's cold. And I normally never ever do this. And when the air conditioning is running, I usually leave my window open generously so I get fresh air mixed with the AC, and I wasn't doing that as much as I usually do. So I think that was it. So I'm a lot better, but please keep praying for this cough thing to completely go away and not return. I appreciate that. Thank you. So what did Witkoff come up with? First of all, Witkoff took it upon himself with Trump to negotiate directly with Hamas. Now, this is Trump, okay? The hammer of the whole earth. He negotiates, he wants to negotiate with Putin for Ukraine, and, I mean, Ukraine's a puppet and Israel's a puppet to Trump. That's it. You got to understand that. And so what he concocted was a release of 5 living hostages and some amount of dead bodies of hostages, maybe 9 or something like that. And then in a week or two, another 5 hostages or 4 hostages plus more dead bodies. In return, Israel would have been releasing approximately 13 to 1,500 prisoners in the Israeli prison system for terrorism. Okay? That was Witkoff's great piece of work, huh? So now tell me Trump is a friend of Israel. I really want to hear that. I mean, come on. This is the theater of the absurd, okay? Witkoff and Trump are just like the other nations, Okay, so now what was supposedly going on was even more ominous. The humanitarian aid was of course going to flow. It's flowing anyway. This American company or companies doing the distribution is actually failing, and they're going back to the UN bringing the aid in. Now, I don't know how they're going to bypass Hamas getting their hands on it. They probably have no intention of stopping Hamas from getting their hands on it, but we'll have to see. So with or without this ceasefire deal, the what do you call it? The humanitarian aid is going to keep coming in. So this was the interesting thing. It was a 60-day ceasefire. And at the end of the 60 days, if Israel could reach a permanent ceasefire with Hamas, so much the better. If they could not reach a permanent ceasefire, then Israel was free to resume the war against Hamas. And this is where Hamas went on tilt, one of the areas. Now, Israel would never agree to let Hamas stay in Gaza and run it, so they would have been proposing during the 60-day ceasefire that Hamas has to demilitarize and leave Gaza permanently. And they were never going to do that. The bad things that this had was Israel basically withdrawing out of Gaza during the 60 days. Okay? That means Gaza would have a chance of rebuilding. Now, this is the ominous part. It was really dark. Pulling out of Gaza means we're leaving the Rafah crossing area, which means Egypt could continue to bring missiles, weapons, tunnel-making supplies into Gaza. Let them get smuggled in is the technical way they talk about it. And then Gaza would be building up again to attack us. And Iran would be only too happy to send them thousands of missiles. And Egypt would be only too happy to let them come in. So this would give Hamas clout to negotiate with us by launching missiles. It's more complicated. You got to hear the rest of this nonsense. So Qatar is an enemy of Israel, so is Egypt. And Qatar, Egypt, and America were supposed to be guarantors of this ceasefire proposal to make sure, of course, Israel leaves Gaza. And I suppose, although I don't believe it, it was going to be to make sure that the fighting didn't start up again. Because if the fighting started up again, Israel would go back in. Understand? Now, what normally would happen is this. If we're not protecting ourselves from the Rafah crossing to Egypt, there's going to be weapons coming in to Gaza. Okay? Now, I didn't hear anything about us being able to stay in the Rafah crossing. Now, so I imagine America would have tried to make sure that nothing came in from Europe or from Egypt, because that would blow the ceasefire up. The way Hamas would play it is 2 or 5 missiles would be launched into Israel from Gaza. And then they would say, oh, we don't know what happened. Some renegade did it. Some lunatic, it's not us. Now, Israel doesn't buy into any of that, because if you bought into it every day, Gaza would launch missiles at civilians in Israel and say, "Oh, we don't know who did it," that kind of thing, and it would go on every day. It would go on 5 times a day. They would just play the game as long as we were stupid enough to play it. But the problem is the Americans are probably stupid enough to play that game with Hamas. Okay? Maybe not. Maybe yes. But just because they launch some missiles, America's not going to say, well, go in and go get him, Netanyahu. He's going to try to hold on to his precious ceasefire, which is non-existent right now. And it's not going to get signed. Okay. So what the heck could Qatar do to guarantee the ceasefire? Not a darn thing. They don't have any military. Egypt could. But Egypt is biased against us. So we'd only have trouble. America would be there. The only way that America could be a guarantor of this thing would be to put soldiers in Gaza, right? How many? I don't know. Maybe it might only have been 200 or 300 or less or something. I don't know. Never got that far. So this deal is dead as a doornail, okay? It's done. It's not going anywhere. What Gaza wanted was a full and complete ceasefire where the war is over and Israel is out of Gaza. Hamas is in control. They're not demilitarized. Humanitarian aid is coming in. And they'll try to lean on the world governments, which will only be too happy to rebuild Gaza for them so they could kill the Jews again. And I'm serious when I say this. So they wanted a permanent end to the war. Okay? And they wanted guarantors. So were they happy with the guarantors? Well, they're kind of happy with Qatar, but not completely, because Qatar can't do much. Qatar gives money to Gaza, and the only thing Qatar could do would be to suspend the money. Egypt would support Gaza, but they'd have to be careful as to how far they went. And America would probably try to enforce the ceasefire for real, and they would be the dominant factor here. So they were not happy. They would give all the hostages back, alive and dead, for a complete withdrawal from Israel forever, a permanent ceasefire that would be enforced by several nations. Okay? And they didn't get it. People say they're hoping for the people in Israel to get rid of Netanyahu, and then they're thinking whoever replaces Netanyahu would probably end the war. Why do they say that? Because it's common knowledge in Israel, although it's not very often put in the media, although it is put in the Israeli media, that Netanyahu is dragging out the war to keep himself out of jail with his criminal cases. So another prime minister who comes in on a vote of no confidence would probably go and try to negotiate an end to the war, but it's not tractable because you can't leave Hamas there, and you can't leave the crossing into Egypt open for smuggling. And you can't let Hamas build a pier and you can't let Hamas build an airport. That's all the stuff they want. Oh, to rebuild Gaza, we got to have an airport here to fly supplies and equipment in. So nations, it's going to take about $29 million to build an airport, or 55 million or whatever. And they'll build themselves an airport with, it'll be by the coast, and it'll probably have two sets of runways, and there'll probably be long enough for big cargo planes, and all the scum of the earth will fly in there, like Iran, people like that with weapons. And they'll also pull up with ships and dock up and give weapons. Turkey will try that. It's a joke, okay? It's a joke. So, what's next? Well, these are the days of the failed ceasefires. Ukraine, Russia, failure. India, Pakistan, very up in the air. Hezbollah in Israel, like, I don't know what's going on. We attacked a very big ammo depot again last night in Lebanon, because the Lebanese government will not fulfill their obligations to do this. It was a big explosions. A lot of weapons got blown up. There's no ceasefire with the Houthis, other than Trump basically told them, we'll stop firing or bombing you and stop firing at our ships. And the Houthis said, yeah, okay. But they're still aggressively gunning for ships in the Red Sea. So there really wasn't much of any ceasefire. Kind of silly to call it a real ceasefire, although Trump likes to. Trump is sucking wind to try to look good with the ceasefires, and it ain't working. And now he's doing more on negotiations with Iran. I don't know a lot. There's some Israelis that understand the Middle East, and they're saying that Iran is buying time, probably to fortify their facilities, to keep working on their weapons and defensive weapons, to be able to survive an attack by America and or Israel as best they can, and also offensive weapons to go out on the attack. They did say they were going to activate their sleeper agents in America and the UK. This is Iran talking, but we don't know if they did it. So there are no negotiations scheduled with Iran. And Trump is still making believe that there's going to be a deal with Iran. And Trump was saying, I didn't order Netanyahu not to attack Iran. He said that he told Netanyahu he still thinks there's a chance to fix this problem with peace, with negotiations, and some sort of nuclear treaty. And if Netanyahu attacked Iran, it would, of course, make this negotiations, rather impossible, Of course, America and Israel are allies. So that's what Trump said. Now, what Trump says is one thing. What Trump and all the other world leaders do in reality is often quite different than what they say. So we need to watch what happens. Okay? What's next? What's going to go down? I don't know. I don't know. We know Iran's going to get destroyed. Does it get destroyed before we hit redemption? Very likely, because it says destroyed by her enemies, plural. So it's not like Israel, where we're the ones that destroy Yemen because we take the remnant as our possession, slaves. So we do that one, but it's not clear who does Iran. It could be us as one of several nations, or not at all. So I don't know where they're at with Iran, but Trump seems to be making believe that there's going to be a treaty. Now, it could be that Trump and Iran are both buying time, which is what I think is the most logical explanation. And I think Israel's aware of that, and they don't know what to do about it. But I'm pretty sure that there's conversations between Trump and Netanyahu that the world's not privy to. It's leaking out now that Israel used their Iron Beam laser takedown system to bring down 40 drones from Hezbollah in recent months. Now, that is not telling us that they have 50 or 100 units of these deployed around Israel. They're not saying that it is, and they're not saying that it isn't, so it probably isn't. They might have a few of them. Maybe Israel wants to get these iron beams produced and in operation around Israel before he hits Iran, but I doubt it. Iran's a real problem because they could hurt back. And it's pretty unlikely to be able to smash them so they can't hurt back altogether. They could, mitigate it. Now, that being said, if Israel, let's say, dedicated 25 F-35s and 75 F-15s and F-16s, and America came up with perhaps another 100 jets as well of various types, and they started bombing Iran, the way to start is take out the radar, which would be a very heavy swarm attack. Aircraft would be shooting anti-radar missiles, drones would be attacking, they would have decoy drones, jets would be bombing eventually, and that would hurt the long-range capability of any Iranian missiles, unless China and or Russia are helping them somehow, and we don't know that. It could be the case, and they're not telling us. I don't know. The other things then is they would go after the missile cities. You see, the nuclear facilities are not a threat in the immediate future, in the coming hours of the attack, So they would be on the back burner. The idea is to knock out the mobile missile launchers, mobile artillery, Iranian warships, and the Iranian missile cities. This is your big problem. So now Iran, knowing this is probably the plan, said they deployed sleeper agents in the UK and in the US. Because the UK is most likely going to assist America in attacking Iran. So what Israel is saying is, what Iran is saying is, yeah, we got sleeper agents in your country and we just deployed them. Well, they're still sleeping, okay? And they're going to be martyrs and we're going to support their families, all the usual chit chat they come out with. So what they're doing is they're scaring America and the UK by saying we got a lot of sleeper agents and they're going to do kamikaze suicide attacks on people and other things. So they could do car rammings, they could do machine gunnings, they could do bombings, they could do kidnapping, they could do many things. They might be working with Chinese and North Korean sleeper agents, as well as Hezbollah, Hamas, ISIS, Al Qaeda, and Houthi sleeper agents in America. So they could be working with them all together. Probably they are. And so that's why Iran came out and said it. Everybody knows they got sleeper agents in America and the UK. They came out and said it as a warning. And they themselves are probably very actively considering preemptive strikes against Israel and America, particularly Diego Garcia, American bases, oil refineries in the Middle East, and so forth. The only way they're really going to get anywhere with an attack is a preemptive strike, but if they do that, they have to consider the fact that their country's infrastructure may get devastated. And then the country's worthless. Yeah, they got their underground facilities, they got their missile cities, they got mobile artillery, but at the same time, they don't have a country. They have no airports. Train stations and switches for the tracks are gone. Trains go on overpasses and bridges, those are blown up. So the trains are dead, right? Airports are dead. Government infrastructure is not all underground. That's dead. Oil pipelines, natural gas pipelines are dead. Ports and piers are dead. Oil refineries are dead. Oil wells could be dead. Right? And so it goes. If they're going to hit Iran, they got to take the Iranian warships out too. So Trump's afraid of this. He's trying to get an answer for this, a way to do it. And he's more than likely got his military working on it. So you basically got Iran and America in bogus negotiations where they're both trying to buy time to become aggressive successfully. And along comes Netanyahu, and he's, saying, well, let's just go take out their radar, take out this, take out, start whittling them down to size, and Trump's afraid. Netanyahu is not terribly worried if Iran hits the oil refineries, closes the Persian Gulf, attacks the American bases. He'd rather like it because he knows that's going to bring a massive attack on Iran and get rid of them. If he gets rid of Iran, he's gotten rid of Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and the Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria. He gets rid of a lot of problems, and Trump doesn't seem to be so enthusiastic about doing this. Trump doesn't know what to do. That's why he's playing this idiot game with them. He doesn't know what to do. Like the old woman who lived in a shoe. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have a good answer. And Iran doesn't have a good answer. So they're just plodding along, trying to come up with some solution. And Iran is in no mood to say, okay, we'll just, let you come and demolition our nuclear facilities and we'll just move on without nuclear. That's the same as Hamas, demilitarizing and leaving Gaza forever and ever. It's not happening. Okay? So these negotiations are rather pointless. The only purpose of them in terms of Trump is he doesn't know what to do with Iran. He knows politically he's in bad shape if the American bases start getting hit and dozens, let's just keep it at dozens of soldiers are wounded and dead. That's really bad. What if hundreds are dead? Okay? It's a problem. Then comes the oil crisis. And there's always people trying to impeach Trump. If he brings on an oil crisis and American soldiers start getting killed, it could be that they'll try to impeach Trump again. Now, some judge said Trump didn't have the authority to impose tariffs on countries, and it did rapidly get reversed by a federal appellate court judge. So this was probably more or less ruler against ruler in the Daughter of Babylon, because these judges are a ruler. They can cast or, pass decisions, right, that are binding, and these are the Biden and Obama appointees that hate Trump, and they're just trying to thwart him. But it's reversing. So apparently the president does have constitutional power to impose tariffs. I know the Fed has the ability to do it, but I was thinking it might have been Congress. But I think this judge just trumped it up and, just said, we'll just block Trump. And it didn't work. Trump did an emergency appeal and got it reversed lickety-split. So Trump's turmoil in the world with the tariffs does continue. See, people listen to Trump tell them what a great job he's doing. But forget listening to Trump. What the heck is he doing that's so great? I can't see anything. He got commitments from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and UAE to invest $5.1 trillion in America, but when and over what period of time? It's probably over the next 3.5 years, and they haven't put anything in yet. What's he done? What's he doing? Has he fixed the thing with Iran? Has he fixed the trade balances with Europe and China and Canada and Mexico? Nothing. No, is his relationship with Europe any better? No. See, people just, knee-jerk blind. Oh, Trump, make America great again. Yeah, sure. Where is it? For weeks and weeks and weeks, when Elon Musk was streamlining Social Security and other things, we were hearing there's going to be a stimulus package. Where is it? There's no stimulus package. He's not doing it. Elon Musk is stepping down. He didn't like Trump's big, beautiful bill or whatever it was. He didn't. It was today had a falling out. So Trump and Musk having a falling out is typical for Trump. He has falling outs with practically everybody. Him and Hegseth almost had a falling out. He's got this female character there, Tosi, or I don't know, like, unbelievable. I don't know where he got this thing from. I think it's a thing. And, it's, I don't know. People were so infatuated with this guy. Things with Taiwan and China and Japan and North and South Korea, they're not any better. Spain's turning on Israel big time. Wants Europe to put sanctions on Israel and stuff. He had a meeting with South Africa. Where'd that get him? Nowhere. I don't think it did any good. Sorry, but I just don't see the good that Trump is doing. I see the good that Trump is attempting from an economic position, but I don't see him pulling it off. So Zelensky in Ukraine is going to get more long-range weapons to attack Russia more, weaken Russia. Russia's going to get mad. If Russia was going to attack Europe, they would have done it already. The only chance for America's enemies, which would predominantly be Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China, and then you could add in Venezuela, Cuba, Belarus. The only way they're really going to get anywhere is if they all attack at the same time, which I don't think is going to happen. They would have done it already. I don't think we're going to see the destruction of the nations as per Jeremiah 30:11, where he says he'll destroy all the nations he scattered the Israelites into over the many centuries. I think he's going to destroy it, and I believe he's going to do it by fire, maybe fire and brimstone, that type of thing. Maybe the whirlwind of the Lord, maybe earthquakes, and lots of things, I guess, but predominantly fire. And I don't think we're going to see the nations go to war and destroy each other. I don't think there's enough time. And I don't see anything going on in South America, Central America, most of Africa. I don't see anything going on. There's major portions of the world. There's no wars brewing. I'll be right back. So I think the day of vengeance is when that happens. And we're still in recompenses now. And see, Hamas didn't get out of anything. They're still in the jackpot. They're complete idiots. They're holding on. And what they're waiting for is the Houthis to save them, Iran to save them, or something. Egypt to save them, all of the above, I don't know. Netanyahu to get thrown out of office, I don't know. They're desperately hanging on, trying to continue in Gaza to kill Israel. And don't forget, at the insistence of America, we gave them Gaza back for peace. And look how that turned out. And idiots are still telling us to do a two-state solution, like Macron. You know. All right, let's take a look at the live stream. See if I got questions. Iran has divided. Iran has some problems with civil unrest. I don't think it's that serious for them. Serious, but not that bad. Saudi Arabia recently was fighting with Yemen in recent years. Yes, Trump closed the border. I grant you that. Definitely he did. He's not getting the illegal sleeper agents out. There's millions of them. How's he going to do that? He just doesn't talk about it. I suppose shutting the border is worth something. He's not doing a lot for Israel with Gaza. He's all involved with being a president of peace. Yeah. Yeah, look how he's dealing with Russia and Ukraine. You know, you want to think that's peace? I don't think so. Hang on a moment. Okay, I think our spiritual warfare efforts are working. As far as I can tell, the attacks have been subsiding. It's still trying to do it, but now that's not when we back off. That's when we push forward harder. We got the enemy weak and confused and bewildered, and they're in retreat. now you push harder on them and tread over all the power of the enemy and wipe your feet on them. This is when you step it up and you push more against them, drive them crazy, just drive them crazy. Command the unclean spirits not to do any works against you using any means at their disposal that they can muster up. And any existing works are cast null and void immediately, never to return. And they cannot initiate new works against you. And you could say for the next year or 2 years, whatever. You don't have to wait a long period of time. And do it all in Yeshua's name. And then that makes it, you're binding them from doing any work or initiating any work against you or your family or anything you own, possess, or control, or set your hands to, whatever, for the next year. They can't continue a work against you, and they can't start a new work. Now, you could still give place to the devil. Here's the deal. Can you really stop a person from coming under spells and enchantments or even demon possession? Well, if they're going to sin and give place to the devil, I don't think you could really stop it. I mean, I have done it with loved ones, but it just depends what they're trying to do, so you could keep tossing if there's somebody in your life. It could be co-worker, a neighbor, children, parents, relatives, spouses, that's doing, sinful things and has an unclean spirit, and the unclean spirits are trying to use that position in the person against you, right? Then you can toss them. And they could always go back in, but you could bind them from using this particular person against you in any way, shape, or form, directly or indirectly, for the next year continuously. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. So, okay, maybe they can go in the person, but now they can't use that situation of being in a person against you. Nor could they put witchcraft spells and enchantments in that person as a way to get you, use that person against you. You understand? So maybe the person might still have an unclean spirit, but that unclean spirit's not going to be able to do anything against you. And you could always keep tossing. Okay? So yeah, maybe they could still go in that person, but that doesn't affect you anymore. But I would continue to keep tossing the unclean spirit. You could also make it out that the unclean spirit in said person shall have no peace or rest or calm or joy when they're in this person. They shall be tormented unless they leave the person. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. That's another way of making it very uncomfortable for them. See, they're going to try to pay the price to get you. But you can just stop them from doing it. The 70 come back and they tell Yeshua, even the devils are subject unto us in your name. Subject, submitted to you. That's more than just get out of this person, okay? It's deeper. You shall tread on all the power of the enemy. Anything they can do, you could undo. Don't command them to do stupid things, right? Because that's witchcraft. Stop them from doing stupid things. See, the only thing they got going for them is that the church world is ignorant of Satan's devices. The world in general is ignorant of Satan's devices. We're not. But sadly, very few people are. So we've got to do a lot of work to cause them a lot of damage and get them bewildered. Hold on a minute. No, there's something else going on here. Oh. So just keep looking for creative ways or not so creative ways to wage the spiritual warfare. Okay? Going after the churches is good. Okay? Going after the city, county, state, and federal governments is good. The Congresses and, of the state and the Fed, their House of, they have their own Congress, the states do, that's good. You could toss them, tell the unclean spirits they can't go in to any of the state government offices for a year continuously. They're not allowed to appear there. They can't communicate with anybody while they're in the government offices, nor appear to them or communicate with them or do anything. Just keep laying it on, and it makes them very problematic. You could also tell them they'll have no peace or relaxation or joy or calm or satisfaction when they're attempting to control the government of any, city, county, state, or federal government. They won't like that. Or better yet, just stop them from doing it. Tell them they can't attempt to control or influence any of the government. Then you can go after the courts anywhere in the world and keep them out of the courts and keep them from influencing any court decisions or jury or judges. Toss the judges. You can go for all the stock markets, bond markets, future markets, commodity markets, and stop them from being in these buildings where they do the trading or communicating with the traders or influencing the markets or the business in any way, shape, or form, and for a year and bind them from doing so, and that's going to cause chaos. Hospitals, they're all over hospitals, these evil people. They love death. They love reading the obituaries. You'll find out Satan bots like reading obituaries. Go after them, in the the hospitals, The prisons is another one. You're not going to create, I don't think, a great deal of problems for them in the prisons, but some problems. The hospitals will be a much greater problem for them. Rehab hospitals, hospitals, hospices, stuff like that. Um, can you toss an entire mall? Yeah, toss a whole mall, toss a whole airport, toss airlines. Everyone that's on a plane from blah 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 airline now, I command you, unclean spirits, to depart from these people immediately. B'Shem Yeshua Mashiach. Well, they're not going to like that. They're not going to enjoy that. And you could get cruise ships. There's always some Satan bots on the cruise ship. They run the cruise ship. The big shots in the crew, of course, are Satan bots. But a lot of the passengers are not. It's not something that's so highly attractive to Satan bots. They don't go for it that much. You know. Um, what other things? You don't like pharmaceutical companies? Go for it. Anytime you're tossing them and binding them, they have to shore up the people that have been tossed to keep them in the game. They can't just come out as some guy that's on the board of directors or something like that, or a chief charge nurse in a hospital, something like that. They can't just depart from this person. They got to go appear to this person and explain what happened or send another demon in. Now, you could stop this from happening. You could say, you shall never explain to the person why you're leaving, give him any warning of you leaving, and all you unclean spirits shall never give any explanation to this person through people or otherwise as to what happened with your departure. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. So now they're leaving their people hanging out there in the breeze. And that's a good way for them to lose their followers. Okay? And that's what we want. We want defections. We want to see people defect against Satan. That's a way, way more devastating problem for them than just tossing. Okay? Because that'll scare the bejeebies out of them. Because they think these people know their great secrets. Well, what these people do know is who the other Satan bots are and how they're operating and stuff like that. But so does God. It's not anything that is so crucial for us at all. It's not really crucial. It's nothing to us. And it's very, very psychologically bad for them because their followers see people defecting and they're not dead, they're getting away with it. And then more defect, and that's a good thing. Mockery of the unclean spirits. See, they're working a bluff game against us, okay? And when you start really standing there and punching them repeatedly every day, boom, 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 you just don't stop. They get punch drunk. They go, one more, you know. And that's what we want. They are not gods. The fallen angels are not gods. They're servants that serve these evil angels. They're not gods. The unclean spirits, they're not gods. None of them are gods. They get weary. They'll get punch drunk. They'll get bewildered. They make mistakes. They're not God. They're not Elohim. They're not Jehovah. They're not Yeshua. They're not God. Okay? All you got to do is have the determination, the willingness, and the desire to go after them and mow their lawn. And they'll start falling. And I think we're doing a good job now. But by all means, we just keep bearing on and on and on. And I don't think we should ever stop till we hit redemption. Then God runs the unclean spirits out of Israel, where we'll all be, and we don't have this idiocy thing going on here anymore. Okay? They're mean and they're rotten and they want to try to kill you. Okay? They can't just throw a lightning bolt at you or something like that. They're not going to drop a piano off a roof at you or something like that. They got to get you to hurt yourself. But we're not going to do that. We're going to keep making life worse and worse for them, and their kingdom is going to start falling apart. The more we attack in the more different locations, the harder it is for them. Because they've got to keep their people in the game. If they can't keep their people in the game after they're tossed, the people may not go to Jehovah, but they'll just basically go inert. You know, they'll just wander around doing what they think they should do. You know, they're not going to be listening to the unclean spirits and following their orders and instructions. And, you know, this is what we need to be doing. Another nice one goes like this. I command you, unclean spirits, that were ever in a person, and I commanded you to come out of said person, I command you now to come out of any person you're in immediately, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. See, that's a force multiplier. Okay? And you could also ask the Lord, the unclean spirits may not have the ability to understand and know all of this, so I ask you to enforce it, please, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay? So you're going all the unclean spirits you ever threw out of somebody. Now they got to go out of any person they're in. So this is random, arbitrary attacks on them that they can't see coming. And this makes them very leery of you tossing them out of somebody in the future because they know periodically you're going to do this blanket retoss that I just explained to you, and they're going to get thrown out of somebody. So it creates more of a terror effect on them. You think they're not terrorized by you? They're not afraid of you? They are. But they have to make you think they're not afraid. They have to make you think you should be afraid of them or that you have no power over them. Pretty similar things. So you have to understand that's their game. Okay? But you just keep pushing harder and harder and you'll see it. They'll fall. God doesn't help them. Who does? Nobody. Each other. They help each other, the unclean spirits. But you just keep massively attacking them. That's what we got to do, or our lives are going to get, they're going to be dismal. We're going to be wandering. And when you don't do the spiritual warfare, you're kind of wandering around waiting for the next shoe to drop on your head. Oh, who are they going to turn against me now? My boss, my coworker, my employer, my kids, my spouse, my cousins, I don't know. Who are they going to get me now? Instead of that, get them. Undo their works, unravel it. It falls apart, then they got to go start over again and again and again and again. And guess what? Now they're not moving forward. Now they're not staying the same. They're dropping backwards. They can't keep it up. They can't maintain when we do the spiritual warfare, and they certainly can't go ahead. It's just a question as to how rapidly they start losing ground. And that's a function of how much we put into it. And these unclean spirits basically should have a sign on their forehead that says born to lose. Because they're losers. And all you got to do is walk in it and they will materialize as losers because that's all they are. They have no hope, no future, no nothing. All they got is lies and deceit. That's the weapons of their warfare. And they need people to do their work for them. And we just stop it and they got nothing. Okay? They got nothing. Because they are nothing. God would love for us to have the victory over them. Why not? Can you find me a scripture where God doesn't want you to have the victory over them and he wants them to have a victory over you? There is no such scripture. It never existed, never find it in the Bible. It's just absent because it's not there. Thoughts on Yeshua the Messiah, that's could be here all day. All right, let's do some Bible work here. Let me check for if anybody's writing. All right, 1 Corinthians 15, 42. I'm not going to do the whole chapter. 1 Corinthians 15. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. You're sown like a seed, you put in the ground, and you're corrupt, and you come up as incorruption. We'll keep reading. It is sown in dishonor. The flesh body is not a very honorable body, and it is raised in glory. Your new body would be a glorified body. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. So when we go up to heaven, it's actually like Yeshua had a spiritual body. He ate fish with the people. He told Thomas, stick your hand in me, feel the hole. I'm not a spirit. He had a spiritual body, I guess we would be saying. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. He's talking about resurrection from the dead, and people at the very end. First the dead rise, and then you get changed to a spiritual body. The first man is of the earth, earthy, Adam. The second man, the second Adam, that's Yeshua, is the Lord from heaven. As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Okay? Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. See, this is the end of the world after the millennium is over. This is not us getting everlasting life. For this corruptible, we do see the dry bones, so, we have to look at that a little harder, but I think it's referencing the end of the world. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sin? O grave, where is thy victory? See, with everlasting life, we don't have immortality. So it's not really pointing at this event of the appearing of the sign of Son of Man in the clouds, okay? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yeshua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be you steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in Jehovah. Now, so I thought we'd do well to review that. So I think you understand that, what's discussed there. Now, back on the unclean spirits a minute. If you had enough faith, you could tell the mountain to go throw itself in the sea and it would listen. So if you had enough faith, you could say, I command you unclean spirits to come out from everybody in Europe. Now, but you probably don't have the faith. In addition to that, the problem is, does God really want all the unclean spirits taken out of people on a given continent? Or is he using the unclean spirits? See what I'm saying? So I know people try stuff like that. I don't think it would work. Try to pick your targets on a more mild level and aim your spiritual warfare efforts precisely at given targets. So I don't think it would be a great idea to, I command you unclean spirits to depart from everybody living in China now, B'Shem. I don't know if God's going to ever do that. Okay? Because they're being used, you know. But I rather certain you could do the spiritual warfare there and it'll be effective. Okay? But it's not just going to be that easy where we're just going to, run around and toss them out of everybody. I wouldn't do that. I don't think God's going to honor that. That's just getting a little bit weird. And remember, when you're tossing, you're not doing anything to the person. You're talking to the unclean spirits. You're telling them what to do, not the person. You're not cursing the person. You're going after the unclean spirits only. Okay? That's what we do. Now, if Satan or any unclean spirit tries to communicate with you, like, why are you doing this? Or, so how much money do you want? I can give you money, whatever, right? Never respond to that. It's a waste of time. All the jackass unclean spirit is doing is trying to snare you and drag you down. That's all. Just keep bearing down. What did Yeshua say? Hold your peace to them, to the unclean spirits. He also said, get behind me, Satan. Get behind me is like saying, get out of my way. I'm making spiritual warfare against you, losing unclean spirits. Get behind me. Get out of the way. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. He didn't have to say B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach because he was Yeshua. But we do. So he gets, don't start dancing with them in terms of talking with them. It's a losing proposition. Never will get you anywhere. Okay? All they want to do is destroy you and hurt you. They're not interested in doing anything other than that. Nothing. You're their enemy. I'll be right back. in terms of threatening unclean spirits, what's the point? Just do it. Don't go out and threaten them. That's communicating with them. Why bother? Just do it. They're irrelevant. They're doomed. They're pieces of garbage for destruction. And they still have the ability to make a lot of problems for us, and go after them. That's all. Don't tell them you're going to do it. Don't try warning them or threatening them. They're just going to take that and use it against you. Don't ever do that one. Just do it. And let them figure it out. Just do it. Okay? That's the thing. Just do it. Pound them into dust. And you've got to understand, you've got to go hard on them. You've got to go very hard. Okay? And continually. The 70 went out and they were using the spiritual warfare and they were accomplishing a lot of good. They were winning souls. These jackass unclean spirits, blind the people. They tempt the people. You see, the whole world is stuck in evil. It's all darkness, everything. All the movies, all the books, the social media. Maybe this channel isn't or something, I don't know. But I don't think it is. I think it's not in darkness. But, most everything is. Okay. Now, let's go for a very fast review of who Satan really goes after. And he doesn't go after the church. Why? They're no threat to him. Revelation 12:17, and the dragon, Satan, was wroth with the woman, that's Israel, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. That's who he goes after. And the dragon was wroth, was angry with the woman, mad and angry, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keepeth the commands of God, and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. That's us. He goes to make war with us. What do you do in war? You kill the enemy, don't you? He's not trying to make you uncomfortable. He's trying to mess your life up, ultimately get you destroyed. Okay? And we go after these jackasses. Here, let's go to Ephesians 6. The church doesn't go after them, we do. The church is with them. They don't know it per se, but they're with them. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And the fathers, provoke not your children to wrath. See, you got to watch that. You can't be overly strict and that kind of thing. You got to have a balance, okay? But bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. That's it. If you're bringing them up that way, that you're not being overly harsh. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters, according to the flesh, with fear and trembling in singleness of your heart as unto Christ, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with goodwill doing service as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord. So if you're going to do good things, you're going to receive good things of the Lord. If you're going to do nothing, you're going to receive nothing. If you're going to do evil, you'll get evil. Whether he be bond or free. And you masters, you reap what you sow, is what it's saying, And you masters, do the same things unto them, forbearing, threatening, knowing that your master also is in heaven, neither is there respect of persons with him. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Now that's what we're talking about here, to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. We're using his might, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. That's how we're tossing. That's what we're doing. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Well, you've got to walk right. You can't be in sin and have the armor of God, because that's a chink in your armor, and they'll go to work on that and attack you. Okay? That's basically what the armor is, keeping your righteousness. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. There's no light. They don't have light. They got darkness. We're the children of light. They're the children of darkness. Against spiritual wickedness in high places. So that's what we do. We wrestle against them. How do you wrestle with them? You grab them by the hair and get them in a headlock? Spiritual warfare is what you do. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. When we do spiritual warfare, we're not talking to the people. We're not addressing the people. When the soothsaying woman was following Paul, Paul turned and said to the spirit, "Come out of her." He spoke to the spirit, not her. You got to remember that. You're not doing anything to them. They have no say in the matter. They can't override your command. These people don't have to be repentant or anything like that. You don't have to know the name of the spirit or anything like that. You don't need to know anything. All you got to do is have the ability you want to get rid of the unclean spirit, and that's it. What if you demon toss somebody and there's no demon in them? So what? Nothing. Demon toss me, everybody. Go ahead, all you want. I don't have the demon. Go ahead, go after me all you want. Demon toss me all you want. You don't hear anybody else doing that on the internet, do you? No. Go after the big social media people, the ones that are doing Christianity and the ones that aren't. Go after them for the toss. You'll get a lot of problems developed for the unclean spirits. All the different social media platforms. You'll, of course, Churchianity is a good one to start with, but you can get other too. It'll make trouble for them. Against the rulers of the darkness of this world, the not, it's dark. Everything on the TV and the Netflix and the YouTube and all that it's almost all dark now. I mean, if you're going to watch a show on how to make baked potatoes with butter, is that really darkness? No, I don't think so. I mean, it's to the flesh. It's not spiritually enlightening. But how can we really say learning how to bake a potato is darkness? Or how to make a hamburger or something, right? Or how to fix a table, It's not the light because it's just carnal knowledge, but is it really darkness? It's not light, but it's certainly got a degree of darkness, but not much of it. I mean, you got to use your own discernment. Anything that's in terms of a movie or a TV show, that's darkness. All of it. It's all going to be dark. Learning how to bake a potato is not a movie or, that kind of thing. But you're not going to, even if you go back to 1930 or 40, you're not going to find movies or TV shows that were correctly themed. You're not going to have that. Darkness, rulers of the darkness of this world. You see, that's their idea of light is darkness. When there's darkness, they have comfort, okay? They like the darkness. They don't like the light. You have the light, and they hate that, and they hate you. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. See, the church can't withstand. They're part of it. They don't know it. And having done all, to stand. Stand against them. If you're, got your armor on, you're able to stand up against them. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with the truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. The fiery darts are not darts, they're thoughts. They're throwing thoughts, ideas, notions, plans, temptations at you. Okay? You use the shield of faith and you get rid of them, and you could attack the unclean spirit source of these thoughts. I mean, simply, I command you, unclean spirit, that just gave me this thought of blah, 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 to take yourself to the place unclean spirits go when they're thrown out of somebody, and go there immediately and stay there for 6 months continuously, starting now, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. My Heavenly Father, please make this so for me, I ask, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. There you go. Back it up with asking the Lord to make it so. And you get rid of them. Or you could just command them. You don't have to ask the Lord. The Lord is going to make it happen for you. It's sort of redundant. You know what I mean? If your faith really needs it, maybe you could do it. But it's not, it's going against faith when you do that. It really is. So just do it. I don't think I should have told you to ask the Lord. I think just do it and believe it's going to happen, and that's it. And if they try it again, do it again. Do it again and again until they give up, and they will give up. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Well, we're using the Word of God, like from Luke 10 and Mark 16, 17, that's the sword. And we're wielding that sword against the unclean spirits in the form of spiritual warfare. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit. It's a good thing to pray in the Spirit a lot. And watching thereunto with all perverseness and supplications for all saints. Perseverance, not with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. So pray for the believers with the true gospel. Pray for the gospel to go forth. Pray for the remnant to come out of the churches if they're there. Perseverance means you don't give up. You keep fighting and you keep plowing them, banging them around with spiritual warfare. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel. Well, since I'm here in Israel, pray that for me, that the Lord gives me utterance and I go forth with boots on the ground and start bearing good fruit for Him and His kingdom. For which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, but that you also may know my affairs and how I do Tychicus, a beloved brother and faithful minister in the Lord, shall make known this thing jumped on me, hold on. I hate it when it does this. Where was I? And I do Tychicus, a beloved brother and faithful minister in the Lord, shall make known to you all things, whom I have sent unto you for the same purpose, that you might know our affairs, and that he might comfort your hearts. Peace be to the brethren, and love with faith from God the Father and the Lord Yeshua HaMashiach. Grace be with all them that love our Lord Yeshua HaMashiach. In sincerity, amen, to the Ephesians, written from Rome by Tychicus. Okay, so pray for the peace of your fellow believers in Yeshua HaMashiach, the real wants peace and joy and calm, pray for each other. You don't need to know each other by name. Pray for all the true believers, wherever they are. To have peace, joy, calm, rest, do it. That'll mess Satan up, and it'll help others. Exactly what form of spiritual warfare you take or who you go after can be important and also not so important. It's just there's a lot of us who are doing it corporately, and if we just keep doing it, they keep falling apart. Do it in different countries. See, they're not knowing where it's coming from. There's so many of us, they're going to get overwhelmed. The only thing they're going to be doing is like, oh, an artillery shell fell here. Oh, it fell here. Oh, a missile got us over here. Oh, a bomb dropped over here. They're not going to know what's coming until it happened. And they're going to be bewildered and confused. Believe me, I don't think they ever saw anything like this in many, 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 many years, if ever. They probably did experience things like this in the past, but just keep digging into them, with the spiritual warfare. And then you're helping the body of believers, you're helping the world, you're helping everybody. There's no good that comes of these scum buckets, nothing. So I think you're sufficiently inspired and you're going to push forward. So somebody put up Psalm 27:10. I don't know that one. Let's go there. Psalm 27. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Yes. Okay. See, they come in here, the moderators remove all these posts. You see, they come in here to spread darkness in here. That's what they do. But we don't let it happen. Yes, someone posted that we're supposed to do the demon tossing. That's right. I had an experience where I was doing some complicated demon tossing, and basically I believe the demons didn't understand what to do. So I did ask the Lord to enforce it, Or you could say if the demons don't understand what this command is, please make sure they get it. But do you really need to do it? I don't think so. I think it's just going to happen. Because God really makes your demon tossing come to pass. Okay? It's not the magic words that you spewed out of your mouth. It's the Holy Spirit. It's Jehovah. It's Him making it happen. Okay? So you don't really need to do that. And what you do need to never do is talk to the unclean spirits. That's a never do. You don't want to talk to them. You could throw commands at them all you want, but don't have a conversation with them. And don't ever let them engage you in conversation. If they try, you ignore it. And then toss. Don't ever try talking to them. It's their mental cases. It's a waste of time. And they're trying to snare you is all they're doing, Don't. Just don't do that. Just keep going after them, you know? Keep going after them. Okay, pray a traveler's prayer for my wife, please. And, good smooth travel, no lost items or problems of any sort. And pray for uh, me to continue healing up with the cough. It's pretty good, but we can push it a little bit more, although it is pretty good. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for me and my wife for peace, safety, protection, joy, calm. Pray for our finances. Pray for our animals and pets to be happy, healthy, and whole. They're all rescues. And pray for better videos. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I hope you got something out of this. And, please do it as much as you can. It's going to help all of us. Okay? I can't say that enough. Okay? We're told to do it. These signs shall follow those that believe. In my name they shall cast out devils. And if you don't do this, then you're not following what you're supposed to do. And then why do you think you're going to have a good time if you're not following what you're supposed to do? You're going to have a bad time. But if you keep pushing it with the spiritual warfare and you don't give up, you're in better times. So there you have it. And I'm out.